podcast, we'll explore the topic of natural selection. Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection proposed that all species have evolved from simple life forms that first appeared on Earth more than 3 billion years ago. So I'm going to look through the process of natural selection, how the theory was developed, some alternative theories, and why at first it wasn't accepted by all people. So, there's genetic variation within a population. Different individual animals in a population or a species have different combinations of genes, which is what we call genetic variation. Individuals that are best adapted to the environment will have a greater chance of survival. We call this survival of the fittest. Individuals with the best chances of survival are the most likely to breed successfully. This is because they survive. The characteristics responsible for the greater chance of survival are more likely to be passed on to the next generation. Charles Darwin developed his theory of evolution whilst aboard the HMS Beagle on an expedition to the Galapagos Islands. He built up evidence to support the theory of natural selection, and in 1859 he published his ideas in the book On the Origin of Species. At the time, Darwin's ideas were met with significant opposition from the scientific community. Some factors that contributed to the slow acceptance of his ideas were inconclusive evidence. There were scientists that regarded the evidence presented by Darwin as inconclusive, as in the evidence wasn't good enough for his theory. Another was religion, because natural selection challenged the common belief that God created the natural world exactly as it is, whereas Darwin's theory of evolution showed that organisms change over time to adapt to their environment, which goes against this idea. Genes had also not yet been discovered at the time when Darwin wrote On the Origin of Species, so he was unable to suggest a method for the passing of characteristics between generations from parent to child. So the reasons, to recap, for the slow acceptance of natural selection were that there was inconclusive evidence, genes had not yet been discovered, and it went against the idea that God created everything as it is. There were also some other theories of evolution out there that proposed that changes in an organism over its lifetime could be passed on to its children. The most famous of these theories was by Lamarck, and his theory was called Theory of Inheritance of Acquired Characteristics. And a famous example of this that he used was a giraffe. So he said that giraffes have very long necks, which allow them to reach the upper branches of trees to feed. He said that earlier giraffes had shorter necks, and so would have had to stretch to reach their food. And that this continual stretching resulted in the elongation of giraffes' necks within a lifetime. Lamarck believed that this newly acquired characteristic, a long neck, would then be passed on to the next generation. Lamarck's theory has since been disproven. Changes that happen in an animal's lifetime are not passed on to future generations.